Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Oh, so unwoke.
So, Dennis, my buddy, it's been only a week this time because,
Because you're back to being on time. I can't believe all we pay you that you just take so much time off.
Yeah, well, the European thing, we get like 47 weeks of holiday every year, as we call it here.
Well, so. Yeah, right. Well, if I were in your life, what'd you do last week? Flew in and out of Miami, and then, said, fuck it, and go home. I went to the Canary Islands and hung out and went to a dojo tent and like ate 7 gallons of food and 4 buckets of beer for $16 for 10 of us. And
that's a good summary. That's a good summary.
I watered the backyard today, the whole yard. I moved the sprinkler pretty punctually every hour and a half until the entire backyard has gotten some water because it's been dry here. And here's the big news: tomorrow, I tackle the front yard again.
Wow, living the life. Look at you. You sent me some photos of like a deck that you're putting together.
Oh, right. We haven't done the home job storyline in months.
Well,
it's an interesting story. Actually, I'll launch into just a short version of it.
But what have we said about sending me deck pics?
Oh.
All right. Anyway,
I thought they were covered.
No. It was there was lots of wood on display.
Well, it was funny you say that because it took me almost 3 days to erect it. And when it was erect, it was firm, sturdy, and could not be shaken. Could not be shaken. It's like can't be shaken like a steel rod.
Indeed.
What are we talking about? Oh, the deck. So my dear father-in-law Dan, who lives with us now.
When was the deck first conceived of?
Well, that's just the story.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it a Walker, and he's living with us now for his final days, and we were contemplating for months me building or somehow getting a grant for, or somehow having constructed a ramp, which would eat up about my entire first part of my backyard, because the requirements are every inch of slope, 12 inches of deck, and every 5 feet a landing, and turns, and it turns into it's crazy. So it takes up your whole yard. And finally I said, what's the goal? And the goal is, well, get him outside, get some sun. I said, why don't we build a little place for him up here to sit? He doesn't need to go down those 5 steps. And my sister-in-law was here, and I pulled out a piece of 4x4 plywood that I had handy, and I held it up near the little landing at the top of the steps, off to the side. It was essentially a 4x4 add-on little deck where he could wheel out and sit in his wheel chair or his walker, which is also a seat, and it's pretty simple in and out. Well, that ended up growing because of smart and interaction with my spouse, which I did not take well.
In my world, we call that scope creep.
Well, yes, in my world we call it scope creep too. And what I said was, I don't want to make it any bigger. And she said, why not? As long as you're working on it, which is true. The tools are out. You're buying the wood. You're drilling. If you're going to eventually make it bigger now. That's the truth.
Yep.
Much of like the deck pics that you see. If you're going to make it bigger, do it now.
I mean, the guy that's peering into your windows with the binoculars is also a scope creep, right?
Well, that's right. Aptly named, except with a capital S and a capital C.
Indeed.
Because it's a type of a criminal.
Okay.
Scope creep. That's good. That's good. We could put that in a cartoon. That would go on a T-shirt. We haven't done a T-shirt idea in a long time, right?
In ever, I believe.
So what's the image on the front? What's the image on the front?
So I don't know. There's like this weirdo that's like looking at people's windows, and then a construction crew is building another like high rise across the street, and he's like, "Oh, now we have to look through all those windows too," and we call it scope creep. I don't know.
That's pretty long.
Just off the dome.
That's pretty long. Pretty long.
Well,
I'm thinking of an image. Just a stick man.
Yeah.
A stick man with two stick men. One going like this, showing a small size, and the other one with a worried look, showing this size. There's somehow, I know, an action figure kind of picture where you know how they do it, where the guy's hands are over here, but they draw them lightly off to the side and they put like swoosh marks so it looks like a movement.
Right.
It might be a little hard to put into a monogram on a T-shirt, but that small to big, something that denotates. The other thing is, how about a less than and then a greater than symbol with right in the middle of it a really confused stick man, a look of oh no on his face with big exclamation marks coming out of his head, and on the left side is less than symbol, and on the other side of him is greater than symbol, and on the bottom it says scope creep. Then on the back it says something that you can read as you pass by. We'll think about that later. But first, what about the graphic? I think I'm onto something.
I don't know. It feels like I think we need to think smaller. I think you're thinking too big. I think the scope is creeping on our T-shirt design.
I think it got simpler. There was two stick men a minute ago. Now there's only one. Now there's symbols. Now there's curiosity. Now the passerby says, I wonder what that means. And they will. They will wonder what that means. And they will turn around. And then on the back, what does it say? It says definition scope creep, like the way that the word looks in a dictionary with the way you pronounce it. But then we make up our own.
Right.
Okay, go.
I'm making up the definition?
Yeah, of scope creep. Go. It's got to be one sentence.
I just said it's a guy that's peering in your window.
Right.
That's the whole joke is that there's a double meaning.
That's right. So what's on the back is a big picture, a whole back picture of a stick man peering into what's obviously a square window with what could look like a heart-on. We could play with that idea, so to speak. Right?
I mean,
that image
how hard,
of
how hard is it to give a stick man an erection? I mean,
God hard.
It's just another line.
It's not more than an apostrophe. or if you're feeling energetic, an exclamation mark. With a double dot beneath it. Anyone of any intelligence who might have been listening to this podcast is now gone.
Is that a semicolon, or are you just happy to see me? Yeah. Okay, so back to your
deck
building wood.
So it grew and expanded into a deck that was not only 8 feet long beside the house and a complete 6 feet out with posts and railings. But as my wife suggested, I continued the deck over the old, trodden, broken down, ugly concrete steps and built new deck steps, and also extended the little platform that you step on when you go outside a door. It's usually just a couple of feet. I extended it out to almost 4 feet. So when you take a wheelchair out of the door, you can come out and stand there and not fall down the steps to turn around and go to the deck part of the deck.
Gotcha.
And so I put in the steps, and it was interesting, because this is the stuff. I'm comfortable now with the general sketch, and then it all being kind of organic, because one of my goals is to not cut much lumber. That's why I use 6 foot and 8 foot rather than 7 and 5, because that's the way lumber gets cut. So that's a big thing, because that takes so much time to cut. That's one consideration, but also two, some of the formation of it, what looks stronger, what looks weaker, what's not needed, what is needed for support purposes, what's available, what's it cost, all that stuff on the fly. But here's the cool thing that happened here in the story that I think is worth telling, is that when I ordered
this is what we've been waiting for,
that went from the beginning of the new deck all the way off to the side of the house, over and in front of the new steps to extend that top platform of the deck, as I told you, the landing space out the door, I needed boards that were 13 feet, 7 inches. So I bought 16-foot boards. And I bought exactly the right number of them to get to 4 feet, which was 8 boards. So once I cut each board with a big crosscut saw so that they were perfectly straight, I ended up with a stack of wood that was 2 feet, 3 inches long. 8 pieces of wood, which one would say scrap. Then, as you'll notice,
I would never say scrap.
The front of the deck that you're looking at when you're looking at the house, of course, has a top 2x10 where the deck is, where it's raised. Then there's 2 poles, and then there's a big thing underneath. So as I put another 2x10 on the bottom of the posts, the distance between the 2x10s was 2 feet. So each of those 2 foot 3 inch boards fit perfectly between that, and that then formed my front and it looks it's one of the best parts of the look, I think, as you see in the pictures, which of course will be posted. But that's just using scrap. And I looked at them first. I said, well, those are too short. They're all too short, damn it. Then I thought, no. You bought an extra 2x10 that is 8 feet long. It's sitting in the garage. And you didn't take it back the 3 times you returned things because you thought you just might need it. Pick it up, take it over, drill it in, and that gave me the distance between the 2 2x10s I needed to insert what otherwise would be with scrap. So that's
pick it up, drill it in. Is that what I
pick it up, drill it in? Well, okay, I can go with that. You could snazz it up a little bit if you wanted. There could be 3 things that you do instead of just 2. That would be a little snappier. Sometimes you just don't work hard enough. You have an opportunity for a little levity here, a little, something kind of, hey, it's funny, that's clever. I'm glad I'm listening, And then you go with 2 things. Well, anybody would do 3, Eric. Anybody.
That's what I thought I thought you said 3 things, but
what kind of person just says 2 things in a mantra?
Yeah, it's not live and laugh,
Or live and learn. No, that would never catch on.
So I think it's
why you say live, learn, and know it, brother.
I think it's pick it up, place it, drill it. No.
Pick it up, place it, drill it. That's better.
Yeah, the rhythm has to be with.
That's better. It's not onomatopoetic. But if I pushed you into it being
choose it, place it,
onomatopoetic, would you be able to do it?
I mean, if it has to make the sound of a drill, it's like choose it, place it,
whoosh it on the post, bang it on the post,
buzz it, yeah.
Bang it on the post.
Indeed. Yeah. SAR. I don't know.
Shah. Wait. They're all, let me think about it. All tools are onomatopoetic if you say them properly. Listen to this one. Pliers.
Hammer.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. There you go.
Level.
Indeed. Screwdriver. Yeah.
Screwdriver.
Yeah.
Screwdriver.
So we're going to new places now.
Well, we are. Well,
I'm glad. So is the deck complete?
The railing was the last thing, and you will see in the pictures the black railing I added. I'm not happy with it. It's maybe temporary, but the fact is, to match the top railings of the deck, which were wood, I'd have to have what's called a wooden deck railing kit, a staircase railing kit, and they're out of stock.
That's where they get you.
And I wasn't about to, so I picked this up for $74, got it mailed to my house. Took me a couple hours to put up. I
do look forward to the final picks. The ones you sent me are just like the initial. I thought I sent you the final. No, I had to put the railing up before I sent out the final picks. It's on its way. It's on its way. Deck picks coming your way. More deck picks, please.
I know you can hardly wait.
Yes, hardly.
So it's been through a lot of heat here, as you know from my story earlier about watering the lawn. Been doing a lot of that, and I must say, I got to tell you, I think this is kind of funny. And if he's one of our listeners, well, so be it. There's this dude who lives across the street, and his wife, who I met, her name, well, I won't give names, but we've become friends because she likes to take care of your yard. And when she sees me outside, she sees me working, doing my construction work, putting in rock, stone. She knows I do this kind of stuff. And she called me over about a year ago and said, "Can I show you something? Look at my shed. The stone floor is all broken. And, I don't know, the wood looks good in the shed, but what do I do?" And I said, "We got a good shed. But as you come here, I want to show you something." And we walked outside, and I showed her a gopher hole where a gopher had dug and is living under the house. And so all that empty, under there, the weight of the car over a tunnel broke the concrete. And so the mower went, "Oh, I'll dig another tunnel." And over the course of, could be several years, a whole family of not just, I shouldn't say moles, I should say gophers, because they're big furry things. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway.
We're adorable furry creatures.
This is how I met her, and then I met him and whatever. And so I'll send you, if I can remember this, or if you remember, remind me. I'm going to send you pictures of my front yard. Because as you might guess, it's resplendent. All the stuff I planted years ago is caught on. The cherry tree in front of the house is just catapulted 6 feet tall, and I put in a new walkway, new stone perimeters. There's my house. Grass is green, well manicured, quite deep, but cut quite square. Black mulch, all the bushes. Big potters on the staircase that I built up to the front with the big side arms, with concrete slabs on top of them, and in the planters, lights. So the place is wonderful. So the guy comes see, he waves to me and he runs across the street. And he says,
Hey neighbor, your house looks so good. Come to ours.
I'm over here because, hey, my wife is asking me, what do you do?
Why can't I be more like you?
To make your lawn look so good. I mean, what do you do? And I said, well, less is more. Less is more. You don't want scope creep. You want things to be level.
Indeed.
You don't want a screwdriver or hammer.
Or shovel.
Shovel.
Yes.
Hey, we should publish something, man. This hasn't been done. We need to Don't let anybody hear this until we do some more.
All right,
Shovel's a good one.
I'll talk to the copyright office.
Pick X.
All
post hole digger. Post hole digger.
Yes. This is we're breaking new ground here, so to speak.
Paintbrush.
Hi. Stop it.
Ladder.
Indeed.
Pry bar.
Too much. So,
you know what a saw is? It's a big, powerful electric saw that when you turn it on, it's got a blade about 8 inches long that can cut through trees and lumber. It's called a saw.
A saw.
The way you pronounce that onomatopoetic is saw.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. I could work on that one. That one needs some work.
I was thinking, change, and saw. But
That's good. That's quite good. Oh, let's just do that for a whole hour. No, let's talk about Barry. Oh my God, what the hell? What, Barry? Man, what have you done, bro? Jesus.
Yeah. So they had to kill off some of the characters,
including Barry.
Yeah, I think he had. I think. Well, I think it's part of the writer's choice to be like, okay, this is the end of this thing.
Oh,
there will be no sequels. Or anything.
Was that not though a early, and as it turns out, early and permanent decision on the part of the writers and Mr. Hader? So and unlike Succession, right, which goes 4, and they end before it stales, go out in a big way, which a lot of series don't. These guys, unlike that, they said, no, we're going to try this thing and we're going to go for broke. This is one season. Let's see what happens. Because after that, we all might want to do something different.
Right. But the choice, like the timing, like they that could have been the very last scene, right? Other writers would have made his execution the last thing that you see.
What was the last thing you saw?
But Barry was killed like 15 minutes into the 30-minute episode, and then a bunch of other shit happened. The final thing that was for like the last 10 minutes or something was the movie. Was his son watching the movie recreation of his father's life, of the story.
Right. Quite different.
Right. But it's, I don't know, it's a strange decision. But personally, I'm kind of sad that there's not going to be like a NoHo spinoff.
There's already been some chatter about that. Maybe you saw it.
Well, I mean, didn't he pretty much die? It could be a prequel.
Yes. Well, the same is true with Barry, of course.
True. But
or Fuchs. It'd make more sense with Fuchs. There's a story there. In fact, there's a series there with Fuchs.
Right.
Pre-Barry, how did he meet Barry? What about when Barry was a kid? I mean, if there's anything, we got a history of Fuchs unlike any other character. And because he came out of this not dead.
Right.
One of the final scenes showed him where? Remind me.
So the last thing that he did was after having protected
to his mother.
No, to his father.
Right, before Barry was killed.
They had the shootout which was an amazing shootout. Like I rewound that a couple times and to watch it again because it happened so fast.
What shootout? The escape from the prison?
No. In the final episode, they Noho called
yes,
and was like, I have Barry's kid and girlfriend here. I don't really understand why that was enough to get Fuchs to come over, because Fuchs was like in his bath and was like, fuck off, I'm not dealing with you. But then he was like, hey, I can get Barry. I don't really remember why Fuchs wanted to get Barry, but
Fuchs, remember this though. Remember the scene. Good point, because I've had the same feeling about that, same little confusion. But let's track something. Back in prison, when Fuchs was in prison, there's a scene where just before it happens, which is the next episode, but in the final episode, Fuchs is restrained, screaming out, there's shit coming down in segregation, because he's learned that he knows that Barry's going to be murdered.
Right.
He saves Barry then. He tries to, but it doesn't work.
Right. He was sort of like wanting to get rid of Barry, but then when he heard that it was actually happening, and then he watched a clip of Rain Man, and he thought that Barry apparently was Dustin Hoffman, and he was Tom Cruise.
Well, I wonder if it's because he wanted to kill him himself. If anybody's going to kill him, it's going to be me, and if he doesn't die, that's up to me too.
Maybe. I think he had a paternal insight.
Well, of course, Barry planted that with the scene of his youth when Fuchs, as a younger man, was interacting with Barry's father in the prairie farm, wherever that the hell was.
But what I don't get is why Fuchs was so he had his like 4 black SUVs full of bad dudes that were like, we're gonna roll up on NoHo and do something, maybe take the kids, so that he had that leverage. No, I don't really get it.
Well, he wanted control of the money and the industry,
I guess. Yeah.
Well, NoHo was fabulously rich. That's what it was about. He wanted, and what he had the goods on him because he knew he killed this Escobar.
Cristobal. The showdown there was a great sort of badass
violent ballet
man walking in with a bunch of dudes behind him, and then Fuchs says, look, I changed my mind. I don't want the kid. I just want you to admit that Cristobal was the love of your life and you were responsible for his death. And that made NoHo sort of break down for a bit, but then he came back and was like, fuck you, man. And that's when Fuchs shot him. And that's when everything went crazy. It's such a great choreographed shooting scene. And at the very end, this guy that's dying pulls out a grenade, and there are like 3 men still standing, and he chucks it over at the 3 men that are still standing, and it blows up and blows the foot off of one of the guys, and he goes flying. And I don't know how they did that effect. Yeah, but
exploding foot effect.
But dude went flying without a foot. And Fuchs had lay down on top of Barry's kid during that shootout. And
that thing about the exploding foot, put that in the show notes as a footnote, would you?
Yes, I will make it. I'll make it pop in the show notes.
Ooh, I got blood on my face.
Well, we can cut it if we need to.
You're in charge. All I do is call. I just press a button. The rest is you. Everybody knows it. You're responsible for every muckety muck. How many episodes has it been, by the way? Because this is nuts. Doing this it's almost every week for how long? This
is 185.
That's so hard to comprehend. And so
we were doing this.
If let's say I'm 70, how old will I live to be?
Obama was president when we started this, I believe. No, maybe not. Because it would have been after. We were complaining about Trump pretty early on. So
true. But I don't want to leave Barry. I want to come back to this thing about Barry, where Barry finding religion.
Yeah,
he really did.
Yeah, he was praying when no one was watching.
He really did.
Yep.
And that wasn't as clear because he was so robotic in the earlier episode showing his future life with Sally and the son John. So robotic, it was bereft of emotion. And his first emotion came when he was thinking about violence again, having to, and you could see how flustered he was. But that wasn't much emotion and all that other stuff. And then culminating in the car scene in the later episode when he was praying out loud, and that was pretty moving to me to understand that. And in a way, it was
he wants redemption for all of it.
It was a premonition of his death.
Yeah,
it was his last confession, and he was absolved. He thought
he was going to go in there and be killed,
and in fact,
but he wasn't in that moment.
No, not there, but
the next day or whatever,
sooner than later. And what do you think about his murderer?
Yeah, it was a surprise, right? Like Gene has that gun that
the one that he was given a gift
by the guy with a funny name whose name I've forgotten. Tier. Yeah, I'll think of it. God, such a funny name. Anyway, and he pulled that out and just like without much hesitation did that. I don't know.
He was as cold as the day is long, but we've known that about Cousineau the entire time. He got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, he went a little crazy.
And the look he had, the long hair and the beard, which I had mentioned earlier, was kind of odd and chilling, and it was kind of a twisty kind of thing. It looked like, Rip Van Winkle.
There it is. Rip Torn is the guy's name. They gave him the.
That, and what about Rip Torn?
He was the one that gave Cousineau the gun, and it had a little inscription on it that said like, "Try not to shoot yourself with this," or something. It was just a gag gift. That
Rip Torn, huh? I don't remember him in the series at all.
No, he's not in the series. He's just a Hollywood actor. His name is Rip Torn.
Right. The gift was from Rip Torn. They didn't show Rip Torn.
Yeah, he was best known. I think he was the guy opposite Will Smith in Men in Black.
Oh, I know him well.
Oh no! The guy opposite Will Smith was Tommy Lee Jones. But yeah, he was like their boss.
Yeah, their boss, right.
How appropriate that Barry's death was so similar to all the deaths that he had committed. Where it was so many times he walked into a hotel room and the guy was like, "What are you doing here?" And Barry just like put a bullet through between his eyes. And in this and here the only thing that Barry said was do you know the word that he said?
No.
The title.
Oh, he
title
said.
of, title of the episode.
He said, "Oh my."
No, he said, "Wow."
Oh yeah, right.
Because he got shot in the chest, and he was like surprised, and then he just said, "Wow," and then he got it between the eyes, which, with a short little nubbin 6-shooter like that, I think it's even at that range. I think it's probably pretty hard to actually put one between someone's eyes. But
so, what about that?
What about that? I don't know.
I mean, what about that skill of that character? I mean, is it out of character, or is there that much more about Cousineau that we don't know?
No, I don't think so. I think it was a moment of just, I'm done with this asshole.
And as it turns out, he's a good shot. And what do we know about him? We don't know anything about him, really.
Yeah.
We don't know whether he was a marksman. He was in the military. We don't know anything about him. Our knowledge of him begins no earlier than the scene when he's in the theater.
Right.
There's no history in the show with him.
True.
I wouldn't, and unlike NoHo Hank, I wouldn't ever see a spin-off with him. He's just not. He's a despicable character. And all in all, he's the character that I like the least.
Between a
bunch of people that we should not
potpourri
like
of
much.
despicable people. Like,
right.
No one is good in the show, which is what we said about Succession too.
John's good.
The boy, yeah. So, do you see how he?
That's it, though. That's it.
When he's older, and his friend says, "Hey, you want some alcohol?" And he's like, "Nah," because remember when he was like 6 years old or something, and his mother gave him
mother's giving him a drink to
just shut him up. Yeah,
shut him up and get him cut out. She was despicable. She was just despicable.
She seemed kind of nice at first, but it all went downhill.
No, not so much. And then so egotistical, and so that one of the great video, the scenes when she was recording it was being recorded on her camera when she went crazy on the woman that got her role or her job or got her series, and how viral that went. And that was actually the turning point. Up until then, she'd been Sweet Sally.
Right.
And she became fortunate, and and she was, there wasn't anything like what ended up to be. We saw the deterioration of her moral fiber, culminating more with her murder, with the murder of the assailant, which I can't recall why the guy was trying to kill her.
Yeah, nor can I.
But we didn't know then, did we? Do you remember we talked about it? We didn't know then. We wondered.
Yeah, it was related. It was related to the
video.
To the viral and her loss of the TV show and crap. I don't know.
I wonder if we missed something from where there was a threat against her life from somebody. We missed it, like a email message after because the stuff went viral. So it wasn't just people saying it, was people commenting on it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that
must be where that.
I don't know. I want to talk about the funniest physical comedy of the final episode, and that is where Barry walks into a store that is not labeled but is clearly Walmart, and walks up to the gun counter, and the teenager with piercings or whatever is there reading a book, and she's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" He's like, "Guns." And
he yells it.
Yeah.
He yells
and then he fucking walks out through like the children's toy section,
right.
Past the door greeter, who doesn't say anything but is like there like smiling, and then he goes to get in his car, and he doesn't want to take the guns off to sit in his car.
Right.
So he awkwardly tries to sit in his car with a bunch of guns strapped to his back, which is just some fantastic physical comedy.
And
a commentary on the United States.
You're right. I've got to say that was a high point. The march down the children's aisle with the two AK-47 strapped to his back with his bullet holster strapped to his back.
Ammos
dressed in military garb and angry and a perfect 7 o'clock shadow.
Clearly, he's going to do a mass shooting
Clearly,
somewhere.
he looks crazy, acts crazy, he wants guns, and the guy's like, "All right, man, what do you want?"
And our Walmart society is just like, "Yes, sir, I can check you out on aisle number 9 here.
Aisle number 3.
So, but anyway, it's a good. It was a good show while it lasted.
And we'll see what's next. They've in a medium now. I fully expect him to have working on a script for a movie, which got nothing at all to do with Barry, but it's not illogical for an actor in this career, explosion that he's in to try to get in. He directed well. He acted.
He has so many doors open to him at this point.
Yeah.
He can just do whatever the hell appeals to him, and pull in his SNL buddies. Your Fred Armisons and your Seth Meyers and those folks.
I've seen some things with him and Conan O'Brien. They do a lot.
They're very good.
And one of the things that I read is a comment to one of the things I saw was recognizing how Bill Hader always, when he talks about anybody who works with him, he talks about them in their full name and what they do.
Nice.
And it's exactly what you'd expect from our friend Bill Hader. He's one of those guys where you think, God, this is a normal guy. You could just sit down with him and start yakking and talking.
Yes.
Right? Because he's just, who else was like that? I don't know.
He has a great story actually on Conan where he talks about early in Hollywood, like he moved out to Hollywood, trying to make it, and he worked on the set of some movies, and one of them that he worked on was a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh yeah, right.
And he talked about
that's a great story.
And he talked about having to open a door at the right time and getting it wrong, and then he can
stop. You can't go in there. There's a bomb in there.
Yeah, and of course he can imitate Arnold perfectly.
Oh,
anyway, that's a good story. I'll see if I can find
that. You ought to get that. You ought to get that in the show notes. I've seen that so many times because I look for it because it's fun.
Well, and YouTube now shows me Bill Hader clips all the time.
Yeah, right. Because now you're watching him.
Because it's clever.
Oh, he's funny. Well, these Conan things. It's interesting to hear Conan talk with this group. Conan's got 2 team members there, I guess.
Yes. I listened to that podcast. I've mentioned it before, but I sent you some clips.
Well, that may be where the first time I saw it was. But what's interesting, my point is that he sounds like us talking. What I saw this thing and it was in there and I'm like, wow, blah, 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 where did that come from? And that was so cool. I mean, he's genuine, a fan,
Yeah. It's not, none of it's researched or anything. He just appreciates what he, unlike us, where we
painstaking.
Please stay on script, Dennis.
Which begins precisely at 12 minutes after 4 o'clock. Hey, we can switch back to Wednesdays sometime soon. Tuesdays don't work as well for me. Do they work better for you, or I should ask?
Oh, that's very kind of you. It's fine and kind of nice for me because it gives me another day of the week to edit with. Although it was a little tight when we were consuming Sunday night content to have it all watched by Tuesday. But I'm flexible.
I think
as long as we don't do like Thursdays.
The thing about Wednesday for me is it's halfway through the week, and my new drinking schedule has me not drinking on a few days because I got a new gig and I'm starting to work again. So I'm not drink so much in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Not that there's just for our listeners, it's not a problem there. I enjoy it. It's just a couple of beers, but that's it.
Yeah.
But I like to go to the local pub every day. I won't do that. Huh. So if it's Wednesday, it's halfway through the week. It's like, oh man,
the week's over. Might as well be over.
But Wednesday's celebrated all over.
It feels like Friday.
Isn't that? Thank God it's Wednesdays. The restaurant.
Yes, exactly. TGIW.
No, but the Wednesday night celebration is for me something I've grown up with since I was a young kid. And every Wednesday was a bar night because you were halfway through the week. Monday, nobody went out. Tuesday, a few people went. Wednesday, everybody went out because it was like halfway specials and halfway week specials and Wednesday
hump day.
Hump day. That's the term.
There you go.
That's the term. Over the hump day.
Yes. Do you remember that horrible? There was a Super Bowl commercial for a while with a camel that was walking through an office. Anyway,
say it.
I forget what they were advertising, but there was
Geico.
It's probably some insurance.
I think Geico.
Insurance is so. Insurance is so fucking boring that you need stupid commercials to make it interesting.
Well, better than having like a Pepto-Bismol commercial where you've got people dressed in pink dancing to a Pepto-Bismol jingle, and I look at my wife, I say, honey, does this make you want to buy Pepto-Bismol more than you did before you saw it? And she'd look at me, no. She says, no. Of course not.
It's hard to advertise bowel relief products.
Well, yeah, I guess so. That's the point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think rather than pink, it should be like bloody red, right? Like, oh God, I'm so fucked up and sick. I've got hernias and they're bleeding. That would sell. Patch them up. I saw a commercial the other day where they got this dude parting his hair to the camera and showing this grotesque fucking dandruff. And I yell out in the room with my father-in-law, Dan, and my wife, oh, what the fuck, dude? We don't want to see your fucking dandruff, you gross fuck. And Dickie says, Dan, language.
in my own
for you, for him, or for the dude on the TV. What? It was not the vulgarity of it you probably objected to. It was the loudness. I was mad. I was mad they subjected me to that. I don't want to see that. That's an image I got now. 2 days later, I still have it in my head. I don't want to see the dude's dandruff. Yeah. Gross, man. Show me that shit. What are you gonna? What for hemorrhoid medicine? What are you gonna do? Spread your cheeks and show that on what? And to make sure I know what you're talking about. What?
I remember as a kid, there were a bunch of hemorrhoid ads on TV, and I didn't really understand what they were about.
Why would you? Right?
Yeah. So.
Anyway. You put one of the when you wake up, as you do often, hungover and all puffy-eyed because you've gone over limit, like you do. Did you take hemorrhoid medicine and you rub it on those bowls underneath your eyes and they go away?
I did not know that trick.
Look it up, bro.
Life hacks with Dennis.
Look it up, bro. Post it. I think I'm out of here, man. What time is it?
Hold on.
Oh God, we got all sorts of stuff to talk about. What about more about the weather and me watering the lawn?
Hold on. Your Pepto thing reminded me of a joke I saw earlier, where it's the pharmacist. There's a pharmacist, and he takes an extended lunch break without telling his assistant. And when he's gone, a man comes in with severe. He comes in with a severe cough, and comes in to ask the pharmacist, who's out to lunch, what can he take? And the assistant isn't sure when the pharmacist is coming back, and the man begs the assistant, I'm so miserable, and the assistant has to think quick. And an hour later, the pharmacist comes back, and he notices the man outside the pharmacy, who's absolutely miserable with his legs crossed tight. And he asked his assistant if he knew what was going on. And the assistant said, "Oh yeah, that guy. He came in asking for meds for his cough, and I told him you were out. When he insisted I give him something to help him stop coughing. So I gave him a fast-acting laxative and told him the bathroom is out of service." And the pharmacist says, "You idiot! Laxatives aren't meant to treat coughs. They're meant to relieve constipation." And the assistant says, "Yeah, I know, but look at him. He's afraid to cough."
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I be. That it's a little close to home, bro. That's a little dark for me. I have some intestinal issues from time to time. I don't want to think about that. Oh Lord.
Yeah, I have. Sometimes I have. In my Pilates class, we're doing stretching and things. And sometimes there's just some gas that needs to come out, and it's difficult.
You know what you do?
Just the room is all silent.
Just when it happens, pound on the floor. You'd rather all those people in the room thought that you were angry rather than flatulent.
Indeed. This stupid exercise again. God damn it! And you
scream out, "I'm no!" Bam, bam, bam.
Coughing would probably work too on both.
Well, so I got to tell you, man, this weather here, there was a moment 2 nights ago when I went outside and it was 70 degrees with a light breeze and everything is flush green. My gardens are all growing well. All of our flowers, our plants, and I'm growing lettuce and kale and watermelon and squash and cucumbers. Nice. 3 kinds of lettuce actually, and I have a radish bed that I'll have to send you a picture of this stuff when I
a radish bed.
A radish bed, nothing but radishes. A 4x4 foot area of nothing but radishes.
Nice.
Well, and I love radishes. I love to go out into the garden with a salt shaker and sit down cross-legged, pick out a plant, wipe it off, add a little salt, and eat it right on the premises. Back in the day, I think I've told you this story before, when I grew asparagus, which takes 3 years to sprout.
Wow.
It finally sprouted. And the rite of passage for the first spring was on a North Carolina hot day in Shady Grove outside of Hickory. Mm-hmm. And I woke up at dawn and I went outside and I noticed that the first asparagus had popped up in the night after 3 years of waiting.
Wow.
And I went out with a salt shaker and laid down on my hands and knees, put a little salt on one of the stalks and chewed it. Nip, 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 until my lips kissed the earth from whence it came. And I looked up and I went, "That's nice." And I smiled. I want to do that with the radishes, except they're under the ground. So I'm going to get dirty. I'm going to look like a snouted pig that's been looking for truffles in the muck. I'm going to do this and I'll send you pictures.
Please.
Salt won't help much.
No. The salt of the earth, so to speak. Yeah.
Salt for the earth.
Is your earth that bland? I mean, Radishes.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, when peace will guide our planet and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius. Aquarius. Oh my God. You're off key, dude. You had your chance, you blew it. Aquarius.
All right, I'm off the chorus.
That's not so hard. You sing it. I'll do the harmony.
No,
Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. Living for the living expectations and the ocean, on the ocean, and Aquarius. Here you go. Aquarius. 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 Aquarius.
Virgo?
Harmony and understanding. Let's just dance. Hey, do a tango to that. Harmony and understanding. Sympathy and trust abounding.
Good.
No more falsehood or derision, only perfect exposition and wonderful vision, oh Aquarius.
Wow.
Aquarius. So the other day,
yes,
I found on the ground a plant that was in my flowers, and I thought, well, that little plant's not supposed to be in my little flower bed. There's only a
get out of here, little
growing here.
plant.
And so I reached down, I dug around the dirt a little bit, and dug a little deeper, little skinny stem, only 2 little green leaves, and I pulled, and because I had just watered that bed, out came a root that was 4 inches long. The root came out of a little tiny nut. And out of the other side, at the top part of where the root came out, there was a spout that went up. And I said, well, this is pretty nice. I went inside it, and the roots had little hairs in them. And I filled up an old glass milk bottle, the kind that used to be delivered, when you got milk in your front porch. And I filled it up full of water, and I took a little piece of paper so that it was like a collar underneath the leaves. And I put that on there. And then I dropped the root and the nut in the very bottom part of the stem into the water so that the 2 leaves were showing. And today I went down, there are 4 leaves.
Oh my God.
There are 4 leaves. And you look into the water, and the hairs of the roots have grown longer. And the nut itself hasn't changed. But it's growing and living off the water and the nutrients in the water.
In the nut.
And I'm here to tell you this.
Yes.
That when there are 6 leaves, I'm going to get a fucking salt shaker.
Crack that nut. Wow. What a story.
It's on the counter for my kids, for my grandkids to see. I don't know if Grandma's engaged them yet.
Do keep us posted. We had a little jar full of grass that was supposed to be a project for a while that disappeared.
Sensimilla?
I don't know. It's just fucking grass. It wasn't anything like a weed, for example. It was just grass. Well, like you have in your front lawn. But anyway.
So explain this to me.
Yes.
Thinking of grass. A cow has 2 stomachs.
4, I believe.
How many?
4.
Holy fuck. I'm behind the times. When did they grow the other 2? I don't know why that's funny. Maybe it's not funny. I'm laughing, but You were laughing. You
I mean,
what?
If you think about it for long enough, you're ruminating on it, which is what they do.
Ruminating. And you know why you do it? Just cud.
Yeah, because they could.
Because you could. Cud. How many times in your life have you used the word cud, and in what context? I've used it many times in the context, but you first.
It's pretty much only about ruminant animals and almost always about cows. Oh,
really?
There are other ruminants.
I've used it as a let's hope it's funny kind of comment to people who are eating, who are chewing for a long, long time. And I'll say, how's it going over there with that cud?
Yeah, those hope it's funny comments are
well,
rarely.
I think it's usually funny when you are at a restaurant eating and you comment in a hilarious way about the way people eat. Is that, or is it just me?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you like that? It's always funny.
All right, here's an image for you. That may be the parting image.
Please.
So there's this place, I've told you about this, called the Sugarbowl, the bar.
It doesn't actually ring a bell.
So it used to be a dive. It still is a dive, but it used to be a terrible dive. And they opened up, and now they're doing all this music. And they did blues, and I went in there, and here's the thing that happened. Everybody in the place, there were about 30 people in the place, a long bar, and picture what looks like white fold-out tables, plastic that you put outside, like for a rent event under a tent, and the white fold-out chairs that go with that.
A rent event under a tent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. That's how the place is furnished. And there's probably about 6 tables. There's 4 to a table, 30 or 40 people. Everybody, Eric, was drinking shots with their beer.
Wow.
I was there over an hour, and I watched these people downing shots. And the band was incredulous when the crowd went crazy for an encore. Everybody was so loaded. But it was a small place. It was a 6-person band. Tommy, the piano player that I've talked many times about, is in the band. He had a rather backup position. He didn't do many solos, which was too bad. So I stopped there the other night. It was a I don't know what night of the week it was, but I thought, well, because of the night of the week, they might have something going on. So I went in, and place was lively. It was a Friday night. That's why I went, because I played a gig with a group called Brothers Proper,
okay,
who is a 3-man band that does some great stuff. And I've a dear son-in-law who plays bass for them, who's a guitar player, but bought a bass and said, I'm going to go play bass in a band. I haven't played bass in a band, but he's been running his own band and cutting CDs, and it's some great creative stuff. And he just
what a great way to expand your knowledge and appreciation of
and he was always like critical of the blues, too simple. He's playing it all the time, loves it. Because he's playing the bass, and it's like, oh man, oh yeah, just it, and because he's a bass, between him and the drummer, they're driving it. They're just driving it. 3-man band. The guitar player, the lead singer, he's got such a vibe. It's sort of like a laid back. Everything is good, and you remember this old tune, and I do it a little different, and he does Motown, and he does a couple of Led Zeppelin, he does a Bruce Springsteen, and none of them he does like them,
Right.
It's obviously a tribute to them.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's his version of it. And his version just makes you want to just sit there and listen and bounce with the music.
I love that.
Almost get up and dance, but it's so laid back. It's like, oh, dancing's a lot of work. I'm so laid back. I love it. So I got up and did a couple of tunes. So the weather's great and the music was good and it's just good, It's good to be alive, bro.
Yeah, man. I was thinking we could end with some more Tool sounds.
Okay, let's see.
I was thinking like wrench. It's not bad. But,
no wrenches. No wrenches. Wrench.
Yeah. Or ratchet. No.
Let's see. Wait. Ratchet. Chet.
Yeah. Ratchet. Ratchet. There we go. This is we need to patent this, and we're gonna make millions.
Publish it. Let's go with it. Well, that's the title of the subtitle of the episode.
Hey, we can make
Onomatopoetic Tools, a glossary.
You're an
Onomatopoetic Tools, a glossary. There you go. I'm doing your work for you. I'm not even getting paid union wages.
You know how toddlers have the little books that make animal sounds?
Yes.
That's the market.
The way to go.
That's the market.
Shovel. Can you do a graphic so that on the left side of the page he's shove, and then on the L he's throwing it to the other page?
Of course, that's
the way. Anything. It's AI, man.
Yeah, just ask chat whatever to.
Hey, I wanna put a bookmark in AI, and I want to talk to you about some of the scary stuff. They've not been explicit enough, and I want to get explicit with you about what could happen. Okay. And so what's on our radar screen for TV viewing? I'm almost ready to resort to doing the full plumbers and see if it gets any better.
If your ass would get Netflix, like I've been watching a Netflix show called The Diplomat that is about it's about a woman my age. She's actually an actress that I've been, she's been my age all the time. And she's the American ambassador to England when shit
Who
goes
stars
down.
in it?
Her name is Carrie Russell. Is the main actress.
Really?
Yeah.
Terry Russell?
Carrie.
The skinny.
She's skinny and
oh
petite.
Yeah. She just did her. She did her first horror flick.
She was in Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah. I know her well. She was in a movie called The Waitress. That's very good.
I haven't.
She baked pies. She baked delicious pies. I can use a pie right now. I'm hungry. I'm out.
All right, later, man. See you next week.
Aquarius.
Oh no, he's dying.
What better way to go out?
Okay, that's it for episode number 185. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/185. This is a really good one to watch on video at patreon.com/happyhour at the Gin Martinis level to see all the antics and gestures that Dennis was getting up to, both singing Aquarius and also with the Tool sounds. It was really quite funny. See you next week.